Welcome back, guys. This is still PIXELLAB made easy. How to navigate through PIXELLAB with easy steps. Now, in our last video, we were on our text icon, that is the A button, which covers everything on the editing of text. Our last video was a bit lengthy and I apologized for that. It was not my intention to make the video that long, so this video is going to be very brief. I will try my best to make it very brief. So let's quickly run into the part 2 of this section, the part 2 of the video. Please, if you have not subscribed, please do that right now. Thank you. Now, in our last video, we ended that video on our word stroke. So let's continue from the stroke, which I told you that the stroke is different from the text. Okay, let me use a text here. Let me use this. Okay, done. Okay, now let me give it a different font. I want to be kind of fast. Okay, now I was saying in the last video that PIXELLAB has its own font, but you can also add your own font to the PIXELLAB. Now, the font I used for the first video was the font that has PIXELLAB Pro, and that one came with different font. It is way different from this PIXELLAB I am using now. You can see that this PIXELLAB is white in color, and this is my own PIXELLAB. This is my phone. The other was a different phone. So if I tap my font now, you can see different kinds of font because I have installed different font on my PIXELLAB. So now these fonts here are way different from the font that came with the app. So let me just pick a simple font now, Metropolis Black. Let me pick a simple font and let's go right into our video. Okay, now this is the font. Okay, now let's go to our stroke. I click on stroke and enable. Now if you watch our text, you can see black lines all around the text. Now that is the word stroke. Now in our stroke, we can increase our stroke width, that is how thick we want it to be. We can make it light, almost invincible. We can also make it thick. Now we can change the color of the stroke. We can change it. In the previous video, I said the stroke color is different from the text color. After our stroke, the next two there is the shadow. Now the shadow, just like the name implies, it makes our text more real. The shadow makes your text more real, give it that realistic look, not just plain text every time. For design, shadow is a very important tool in our design. Now the offset moves the shadow left or right, that is the offset X, and offset Y move the shadow up and down. I can also change the color of the shadow to any color, of my choice. Okay, now let's quickly move to the inner shadow. Now the inner shadow is the same with the shadow, but the only difference is the inner shadow affects the insides of the text. Now the inside of if you look at the text, you can see that is as if there is an invisible text inside moving, but that is not invisible text, that is the inner shadow. Let me change the color. Now we can see that is the word inner shadow. It's just the same thing with the outer shadow, but this one is different. It works inside the text. Most people don't use the inner shadow, but when designing, the inner shadow is also one of the important tools to note when what designing. After the inner shadow, we have the emboss. Now, what the emboss does, it it increases your text. It gives it this um 3D look, but not the full 3D. A very light 3D look makes it look like makes your text look like a sticker. Yes, yes, a sticker. It makes your text looks like a sticker. And we have other buttons um on the emboss. We have the light angle, which changes the angle of light around what the text. We have the intensity, which increases the light. We have the ambient light, which also increases or reduces the light. All these are not really important. They are not too important. You can play around with them when you are using PixelLab or when you are designing anything of your choice. Okay, let's quickly move on to perspective. Now, perspective, just like the name, perspective, it places our text in an angle we want it to be. Let me enable it. Let me explain it with showing you. Okay, now let's say I want this text to look as if it is lying down. Okay, let me see something. Let me try something like this. Okay, now what? Now this text, now our text is looking as if it is lying down, as if it fell to the ground. Now that is what perspective does. Now when you are trying to, let's say, impute. Okay, I am going to show you that when we are dealing with shapes and images, but that is what the perspective is used for. Now, after perspective, we have a 3D rotate. Now, the 3D rotate works when your text has a 3D feature. When you have used this 3D feature here, that is this, the 3D text that we are seeing here, this 3D text here. Okay, let me go to the 3D text. I click on the 3D text and enable. Okay, first of all, let me go to my perspective, quit. Okay, now 3D text. Now, if we have the perspective and we have the oblique, now the oblique makes the 3D, that means the density, more bigger, while the perspective make it balanced. So we have the depth, which increases the 3D and also reduces it in a way that you want it. When you are using it, you can make it your choice anyhow you want it. We have color. We can change the 3D shape color to any color of our choice, black or white. We have the darkening. This makes the 3D very what, dark. As we can see, if we look very well, we can see that it's getting what, dark. Now we have the 3D rotation. The X rotates up and down, up and down. Then the Y rotates left and right, left and right. Then the Y rotates at 360 degrees. 360 what, degrees. Now this is for the light. That is all about what the 3D text. Okay, now let's quickly move to the 3D shadow. Now the 3D shadow is different from the text shadow. I was talking about shadow before. Now if you give your text a shadow and you add a 3D effect, now the shadow that you gave the text will not affect the 3D effect on the text. So you have to give that 3D effect its own shadow. Now you can see the shadow, now it is below the 3D effect. So its shadow is different from what the text shadow. If you guys notice, the shadow I gave to this text was white. Now you can still see the white shadow, and you can also see what, the 3D shadow. Now let me change the 3D shadow to yellow. Now you can see the yellow and you can also see the what, white. So this text has a normal text shadow and a 3D text shadow. Okay, let me quickly move on to the last button on the our A button, which is what the reflection. Now if we want our text to reflect, now what now you can see that the text is what reflecting downward. Now there are some flyers or some designs you will do that you want the text to reflect. Now you just come to the A button and click on your what reflection, and what the text what will reflect. You can increase the length, the vertical offset, and you can also what reduce the vertical offset, sorry. Okay, now that is all on the A button. Now the next button we are going to use, or we are going for, is this button. Yes, the one that looks like a triangle. Yeah, the button that looks like it, like a triangle, but it's not really a triangle, it's a pentagon. Now this, let me delete this. Delete. Now this particular button on the PIXELLAB, it deals on everything outside of text. Anything that is not related to text, this particular button edits it and works on it. Example: shapes, pictures. That is what this particular button is used for. Shape, pictures, lines, anything, drawings also, anything apart that is different from what text. That is what this works on. Now the first button we see here is the sticker. Now the sticker is not really important. The sticker and the emojis, they are not really important, but sometimes they are used for designs, mostly during photo manipulation with PIXELLAB. Yeah, we can introduce the stickers and use them for different effects or the other. Okay, now if you watch, I have highlighted the heart. Now there are different buttons that will appear once an image shape has been highlighted under this particular button here, the one that is shining blue. Okay, now let's move. After the sticker, the next button there is the import. Now just with the name import, it means bringing in things. So with the import button, we can bring in anything from our gallery. Now let me bring in something from my gallery now. Okay, we can see things that are already made in my gallery. So let me click on this one. Okay, open, please. Okay, now you click on what, good. Now see, I have successfully imported this logo from my what gallery. Now just draw a circle. Okay, this does not really look like a circle, but okay, let me just draw a circle. Okay, now okay, now it is not really a perfect circle, but it's still a circle. Now with our draw tool, we can draw circle shape. We can also add some effects like the fill inside. Now this, anything I draw, let me say I draw a square, anything I draw, it is going to fill itself. It's going to fill itself. That means like color itself. We have the dash lines. That means any line I draw is going to be chain line, dotted lines. Okay, I have the neon effect. Okay, now any line I draw will look as if it is shining. That is what the neon what effect, that is all about what the draw tool. Okay, delete. Okay, now the next tool we go for is what, the shape, one of the very important tools in the PIXELLAB. Very important. Now the shape tool, we have different shapes in PIXELLAB. Don't think it's only the square we have. Now to access other shapes in PIXELLAB, we click on this colored box there. We click on that box to access other shapes in the what PIXELLAB app. Okay, now let's quickly click on it. Now we can see other shapes here, other shapes, the lightning bolt, the square, other different kinds of shape. But let's work with the square. Okay, now we have the radius. Now this radius affects the sharp ends of the square, make them curve, like some flyers you will see or some designs you will see. The square is curved and it looks beautiful. So that is what is the used to make it curve, the radius. We have the color, we have the color, we have the stroke. The stroke also has its color too. The stroke has its color. Okay, now we can reduce and increase the size with this black, with the black round circle buttons that are on the screen. That is all about shapes. Okay, on highlight. Now after shapes we have let me say one of the most important tools in the PIXELLAB, that is the bezier tool. Sorry, the bezier tool. This guy, the bezier tool. This is one of the most important tools in the PIXELLAB. Very, very important. I am not going to tell you all about the bezier tool in this video because it is really going to consume time. But one thing I'm going to tell you, that the bezier tool is, we can use the bezier tool to do anything: drawing, creating of logos, anything, anything that involve anything. You can use your pen and your pencil to draw on your book. You can use what the bezier tool to draw it. That is how amazing this particular tool is, and it is very cumbersome. So I am just going to use it to draw a rectangle. That is only what I will use it to do, so that this video is not going to be too long. In my next video I am going to be showing you how to use the bezier tool effectively. Okay, now the bezier tool has different buttons which have different functions. I am going, one of them is this. Okay, sorry. Now, okay, this button, the plus button. Now that button is used to add point. Now if you see, the button is highlighted, that is why it's shining blue. Now there are other buttons that appear once that button is highlighted. The first button, which is used to remove points. The second one used to add point. The third one used to join point. The two arrow facing up and down are used to sorry, let me remove these lines upon lines, they might be confusing, guys. Now the fourth button, which are the arrow facing up and down, is used to increase the size and reduce the size of anything we use the bezier tool to draw. Then the last button there, which is not too visible, is used to circle, like make it curve. Okay, let me just quickly run. Now let me add points. Okay, and let me lock them. Now we go to the bezier tool now itself. Now the bezier tool works very well with the grid lines. Now what are grid lines? Now in the PIXELLAB, this box here, that is called grid line, the grid box. Now it provides you with lines, yes, that will give you accuracy when designing or drawing anything on your PIXELLAB. It gives you balance. Now the grid line have a very special function, which is this U. The letter U that we can see here is not just an ordinary U, is a magnet. Now this, when highlighted, it makes every point of the bezier tool stick to a particular grid line. Now this other function, the grid line with the setting, that is how to arrange your grid line. If you want to add, if you want to remove, if you want to add more lines from down. If you want to add from the side, that is horizontal and vertically. That is what this is used for. Okay, let's quickly form a shape with the bezier tool. Okay, let me quickly form a square. Let me form a square with the bezier tool. Not to worry, I am going to show you how to do all of this. Okay, sorry. And the bezier tool can create perfect shapes, perfect and wonderful shapes. Oh, sorry. Oh, I think they have been. Okay, let me quickly resolve this issue that I'm having right now. Okay, let me make it small. Oh, no. Go back to edit. Sorry. Okay. The stroke went too far. I'm sorry about that. It went too far. It went too far. And I'm still having some technical issues with my phone. I'm sorry. Okay. 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 That is settled. Aha. That is set. Okay. Now I click on okay, and I click on good. Now remove my border lines. Okay, now if you can see, we have a perfect rectangle. Now somebody that sees this, we think that this is what a shape, but this was what made with the what bezier tool. Now we can create even the heart that we are seeing on my screen. You can use the bezier tool to draw something like that. Okay, the next button is the arrow, which is not important on the pixel app. I don't use it, but let me just show you what the arrow is. It just create arrows for you, different kinds of arrows, and give them colors. That is what the arrow is used for. Create different kinds of arrows on the pixel app. Okay, now let me quickly run through. Let me check the time. Wow, our time is fast spent. Okay, now the shape. Now what, as I click on the shape, we have, okay, this is the bezier that I just did. Let me remove this and bring this. Now I click on it, I highlighted on it. Now we can see different buttons just like we did for the text. Now these buttons are used to edit our shape or pictures. We have the delete, we have the crop, and we have the copy. We know what the copy is. So we have the to back and to front. Now these two have the same functions with that of the text when I was explaining text in the other video, that the to back sends to the back and the to front brings an element to the front. Now this blue shape is highlighted. Now I want to send it to the back. I click on the to back. Now it has gone to the back, and I want to bring it back to the front. What? To front. Now we can see the position and the relative position. I explained this while we were working on text, so I won't explain them again. Now let's move to relative size. Now relative size has to do with the size of our shape. It gives us accurate size of a shape or an image. Now watch, I increase the height, the image will increase, and I increase the weight is the weight is going to increase. Now the relative size work just like the text size in when we are working with text, just how we can increase and reduce our text. That is what the relative size also used for. We have the color, which I believe we all understand the color because I explained it in the last video, both how to add your gradients, to add your color codes, so I will not be doing that again. Okay, we have the texture. We all know I explained the texture in the former video. Okay, let's say I want to give that shape okay, okay, now let me say I want to give it this texture now. Okay, sorry. Okay, okay. Oh, okay, sorry. This is a shape that I created, so it is not really going to work on it. But if you try it on another shape, is going to work. But I will not be doing that now because we don't have much time. So after that, we have the opacity, like you all know, reduce and increase the how you want it to be. We have, okay, now color filters. Now, while editing pictures or shapes, mostly pictures, you can use color filters. Now, wow, I love this. Now look at what just happened to this image, because this is an image. Now with the color fil filter, I changed the color. I just edited it a bit, and the color just changed to I think it's a green and a pink, which I love so much. I love it so much. Okay, so we can increase the saturation, we can increase the brightness, we can also increase the contrast. That is what the main function of the color filter. We have the stroke, which I believe we all know what it is used for. Okay, let me change the color so that you can see the stroke. We have what? The stroke. Okay, we have the eraser. Okay, let's assume we have an image and we want to remove the background of the image. We can do that with what? Our eraser, by cleaning the background, removing the background. You can see, and if I do it perfectly, this image is going to be what? Transparent. It will not have any single background again. Let me quickly go out from this position. Okay, sorry. Okay, now as we can see, I have erased some part of our background, and we can see that those parts I erased are revealing the background. Okay, let me go back to default. Okay, now after the eraser, we have the marks. I believe I have explained the marks while using text, but I was saying that I am going to show you more or talk more about the marks, because the marks and the bezier tool, they have similar functions. They have what? Similar functions. Now watch what I just did with and the marks. This is the basic thing that you can do with the mark to cover things you don't want anymore. Now you can see that this text, this picture have been what? Half part of it has been covered, let's say removed. That is the work of the marks. I am going to talk more of about that in our next video. Now we have the erase color. Now this is mostly used also if we want to remove background. Now I erased color and the white from the image is out. Now if I don't want the white, I can pick this and select a color that I want to remove. Pick color. Okay, now let me select a color, the green, and I click on OK. Now if you watch, the green color is what out, and we have what a transparent MC, that is used for what removing background, mostly pictures that has what a plain background. We can use the erase color to remove them. I don't have any picture on this phone that have a plain background. Searching for it now is going to take a lot of time. We have the rotate, which we can rotate the shape or image to any angle. We have the 3D rotate. We have a 3D shape. Now this is the same with um with our 3D shape for text, the same thing, but the only difference is that that is a shape, and this is, sorry, that was a text and this is what a shape, but the 3D effects are still what the same. Watch how our image now has what a 3D shape. Now after the 3D, we have our perspective, which I explained in the text. We have our shadow, which I also explained in the text. We have our inner shadow, and we have the emboss. These things, these buttons perform the same action as they do on the text. Quickly, let's move to the last button, which is this button. Let me quickly go back and delete. Okay, now this button, okay, the one that looks like the double layer, that looks like a double layer. Now that button, this particular button that is being highlighted now, this affects anything concerning your background, anything about what your background. Now this is the default background, the greenish color stuff. Now I want my background to look like this. Okay, let me just, okay, yes, like this. Now this is a gradient that I already made, so this is how my background is going to look like. I can give it a plain color, blue. That is how the background is going to what look like. I can make it transparent. Now if I save this as an image, now if I save it and you bring it back, this image will not have a background, it is transparent. Okay, now the next button is the image size. Now this image size is how you want the flyer or design to look like. Let me put 580. Done. Okay, now look, the size, the size of our image has what changed. It is now more of a landscape. That is what the image size. Image, after the image size, we have the crop. This really works when you have let's say a sheep as your background. We have the image. Now this image is when you want to use an like a picture. Okay, we have image, we have already made image like templates that we can use as our background, just like when I mentioned default. Now these were the default images when we were dealing with the first button on the pixel lab. Now if we want to use images as our background, we can use them. Now if we want to use pictures as our background, we just go to the button from gallery. Now from gallery, we can select what a picture we want to use as our background. We can select, okay, let's select this, the picture we want to use for our background. Let us use that. Okay, okay, now see, now that picture has successfully what become what our background. Now anything we do, we will be on this what particular what picture. Now even if you write a text, is going to be on this particular what picture. Now this is from camera, means you just snapped yourself or you just snapped a particular picture right now and you want to use it for your background. It is what you go to the from camera or button. Okay, um that is all for the lower part buttons of the Pixel Lab. Now that is all for the lower part. Okay, um okay, our last button is the button that looks like a wand. Okay, let me move this up. The button that looks like a wand. Sorry, I rotate the screen. Okay, the button that looks like a wand. Now this also affects the background. You can rotate the background from here with the rotate vintage. Okay, now this button also what affects the background. Also, it also affects your background. Let's say you have finished designing and you want to make it look more beautiful, or your picture, you can use this to what make it more perfect. Stripes, you can add stripes to your picture. Brightness, you can increase the brightness of the picture. You can increase the contrast. You can also increase the hue of the picture. Now remember, this last button now has to do with what your finished work, like when you are through with designing everything. Now that is when you use what this button that looks like a wand. Okay, now with this we have come to an end of the lower part of the pixel lab. That means this particular part. Now this ground part, we have successfully what finished what this lower part. In the next video we are going to be looking at the upper part of the pixel lab app. That is this blue part. Now this blue part. Okay, once again guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have not subscribed, just click on the subscribe button right there. Thank you.